Welcome back, it's me Lou, and I'm here for another action figure review and unboxing. And today we are looking at this, and this is something different, it's something special. It's a G.I. Joe Classified Retaliation Roadblock. So this is actually a custom figure. This is not a figure you could buy at retail. I designed and made this myself, using the combination of a G.I. Joe Classified figure and a Mattel basic wrestling figure. So this was inspired by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's appearance in the movie G.I. Joe Retaliation. It's not screen accurate, but I kind of wanted to make a G.I. Joe figure that was based off The Rock. So, yeah. So, pretty much right. So last year around, what was it, March, I believe, is when March of 2020 or April of 2020, the G.I. Joe Classified series, the 6-inch figures, kind of became more readily available. And like many of you, I swooped in and got them whenever I could. But the initial wave was kind of very limited. I think there was maybe only like 5 or 6 figures available at the time, and then in the coming months there were some of those exclusives, like the Target exclusives. But it wasn't enough to satisfy my need for just 6-inch G.I. Joe figures. I wanted more, and I started making customs. And for me, the easier the custom, the faster the figure I could have. And I just make figures of primarily of characters I really wanted. Like I made a Serpentor. I'll cover that in the future. I made an Agent Helix, and I'll feature that in the future also. But then one day I was just at Target, and I was combing down the figure aisle, and then I saw a Mattel Elite WWE Rock action figure. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, oh yeah, The Rock. He was in one of the G.I. Joe films. Wouldn't it be great if I made a G.I. Joe Classified series figure of him? And I remember when G.I. Joe Retaliation came out, they actually had a 3 3/4 line of action figures, and I have a bunch of those. And the Rock figures are really cool. I thought the movie was alright. I thought it could have been better, but I enjoyed it. And it was kind of cool seeing The Rock portray Roadblock. And I'm like, I really want a Roadblock figure that looks like The Rock, but for that 6-inch scale. So I went ahead and made my own custom G.I. Joe Classified Series Retaliation Roadblock. And here he is. So I'm kind of I'm not necessarily a loose collector anymore. I kind of go back and forth. If I really want the figure and I think it's really cool and I want to fiddle around with it, I'll take it out of the package. But for the most part, I'd say maybe about 75% of the figures I buy nowadays kind of stay in their package because I like to display them in the packaging. And for me, the G.I. Joe Classified series, I think they look great still in the package. And part of the whole customizing experience for me is not only making a custom figure, but also making a custom package. So it feels like something you could buy in the store. It might not be perfect, but for me, it's close enough that as a display piece, I could display it with my other G.I. Joe Classified figures that I still have on the card, and it just complements my collection well. It's unique. It makes my collection very personal, and it's just a fun thing to have. So I went ahead and made the custom figure, and we'll look at that in a minute, but let's take a look at the custom package. So essentially, I just took the standard Classified box. I believe this was Gung Ho, because I think these are Gung Ho's accessories. And then I replaced the Gung Ho portrait with an image of The Rock I found from the G.I. Joe Retaliation movie. And I kind of sized it, cut it out, printed it on adhesive paper, and just pasted it over. This isn't perfect by any means. As you can tell, it doesn't measure out right, but it's his character title. You know, it's G.I. Joe Retaliation Roadblock, so it just overlaps Gung Ho's name. On the side of the spine, I found an image of Roadblock, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson from the movie, and the look is very inspired by this. You know, he has a tactical vest, which is Roadblock. Which is the Gung Ho figure. And I just thought it'd be a cool placing. I don't know. It just looks awesome. And I didn't do much else. I know this is all stock. But let's look at the figure itself. So yeah, here's my custom Roadblock action figure, and it's based off the likeness of actor slash wrestler Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And I love this figure. I think it looks great. He's not. This isn't screen accurate by any means, but it looks inspired by what he looked like in the movie. I wanted to give him a tactical vest. And one of my big things with making customs too is I try to avoid painting as much as possible. Not because I don't enjoy painting, I do, but I just don't like the idea of painting stuff and then you get joint rub and paint flakes off or rubs off. I want a figure that feels like it just, it's something that you could buy at retail. I want it to feel stock, and I want it to naturally fit in with the rest of my toys. I don't want it to look like it was custom painted or, heavily modified. So what I did was I took Gung Ho's body. I might have done some part swapping because this has the darker color boots, not the gold ones. So I want to say, I'm not 100% sure. So this might be Gung Ho's lower half or one of the Roadblocks. Because there were two different Roadblocks. There was the Roadblock, which I think came in this second version costume with the vest. And then there was that weird, like, Roadblock figure where he kind of looked like UFC fighter Kimbo Slice. The late Kimbo Slice. And I remember for this figure, I kind of wanted to use the more muted colors without the gold and the silver and the blue. So I found a G.I. Joe classified figure that had these black boots. So I'm not sure if that was Gung Ho or if that was Roadblocks. And then I changed the knee. And I grabbed some of the holsters and straps from some of the other figures. And put them on this rock. Now for the upper body is actually the Mattel figure itself. At the time, this was the only Rock figure I could find on the shelves because I didn't want to hunt down a Rock figure on eBay or Amazon and pay like secondary prices. I just wanted to find a basic Rock figure for $9, and this is the one they had on the shelves at Target. So I bought this, and what I did was I took some very, very fine sandpaper, and then I scrubbed off the his Brahma Bull flag emblem. And I want to say I did that with maybe like a wet piece of sandpaper. And that's how I got a smooth finish. It doesn't have the scuff marks on it. And he needed the goatee. So I painted the goatee on right there. My only regret is that if I waited a couple of months later, they released a Rock figure that was very similar to this, but he didn't have the smiley face. He looked a little bit more menacing and grimacing. And I kind of wished I waited long because I would have used that head in place of this. Because this Rock here, he's like all smiles. And Roadblock in the cartoon's kind of a lighter character. But I kind of wanted this version to look a bit more serious. But this was the only head available at the time, so I kind of settled with it. And what I did was, in order to get this upper half onto this figure, I kind of just took the figure and I kind of just bent it in half, going back and forth until it broke off at the waist. I'm sure there was probably a more scientific way I could have done it, but I didn't want to crack the torso. One of the ways you could disassemble Mattel wrestling figures is that you could crack the torso, meaning I think you have to. It's been a while since I've done it, but you find the seam along the side of the upper torso, drill a hole in there, or cut a small slit, and then you want to affix like either a flat-headed screwdriver or something kind of flat, like maybe a butter knife or something, a metal one, and you kind of want to twist it back and forth until it cracks the figure, and then the upper torso will split in half. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to crack the figure so you can see that broken seam. So what I opted to do was just break the figure in half, and then wherever the socket was, so the lower portion where the crotch is, there's a big peg that sticks out, and the socket's on the upper torso. So when I broke the figure in half, the peg remained intact, but it kind of messed up the socket on the torso. So what I ended up doing was kind of makeshifted a socket for the lower half of this G.I. Joe body, and then I kind of pegged this on top and glued it together. So this figure, the arms and legs move, but he doesn't have waist swivel, but I don't really care because this is more of a display piece. So that's how I went about creating this figure. using a G.I. Joe Classified Gung Ho for the lower half, and then using a Mattel Basic Rock for the upper half. And as I mentioned earlier, I just pick and choose different accessories from the other figures and put them on here. And one of the figures had an elbow pad, and I thought it'd be kind of a nice call out to The Rock, you know, when he does the people's elbow. So just to make sure he had an elbow pad on one arm. So yeah, that's my custom Rock as Roadblock from G.I. Joe Retaliation. It's a fun figure to have in my collection. It makes it a little bit more personal. It's a custom, but at the same time, it's a custom that doesn't look too heavily modified. This could almost pass for a stock figure, which I'm really proud of. And when you put them in the package, it looks extra sweet. It's just a bonus. So yeah, this is my custom G.I. Joe Classified Rock figure as Roadblock. Not much else to say beyond that. So once again, thank you for checking out this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's my hopes that in the future I'll share more of my custom action figures with you. I have a bunch, you know, ranging from G.I. Joes to 12-inch Star Wars to Transformers and everything in between. So in the meantime, have a great day, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care.